Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of World of Business, your weekly update into trending news and latest developments on the stock markets. And on this episode, our focus is on the government's latest move to enhance the ease of doing business, the scrapping of 11 license requirements and the consolidation of various local authority permits into a single unitary license. We will unpack this in detail in the second segment with the Acting Chief Executive Officer of the Confederation of Zimbabwe Retailers, Mr. Innocent Marimo. But first, we give you the exchange rates as they are recently. The Zimbabwe gold to the United States dollar interbank rate was at 26.37 zig. The Zimbabwe gold to the Great Britain pound interbank rate was at 34.35 zig. The Zimbabwe gold to the euro interbank rate was at 30.30 zig. The Zimbabwe gold to the South African rand interbank rate was at 0.66 zig. The Zimbabwe gold to the Botswana pula interbank rate was at 1.86 zig. We also give you commodity prices on the global markets. Gold per ounce traded at $3,981 after it went up by 0.53 percentage points. Silver per ounce traded at $47.55 after it went up by 0.54 percentage points. Copper per pound traded at $494.60 after it went down by 0.04 percentage points. Platinum per ounce traded at $1,552 after it went up by 0.81 percentage points. And that's it for the first segment. Do join us in the second segment. We still have more to unpack here on World of Business. Welcome back to the second segment of World of Business, and as said earlier, our focus today is on government's latest move to enhance the ease of doing business in Zimbabwe, the scrapping of 11 licenses requirements and the consolidation of various local authority permits into a single unitary license. To help us unpack what this means for business on the ground, we are joined by the Acting Chief Executive Officer of the Confederation of Zimbabwe Retailers, Mr. Innocent Marimo. Mr. Marimo, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now let's just jump straight into it. What's your understanding of the government's move to scrap 11 license requirements and introduce a single unitary license?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I think the first point that as the Confederation of Zimbabwe Retailers would like to highlight is that we'd like to commend the government and His Excellency the President for the concerted efforts at improving the cost and ease of doing business. And we have to be cognizant of the fact that us as the retail and wholesale sector, we are coming from a period of distress. In the previous year, we saw numerous closures of various retail and wholesale establishments. So this streamlining of regulations and licenses is actually coming at a perfect time to support recovery as well as expansion. And ultimately, our expectation is that a lot of savings will be made from the retail and wholesale sector and ultimately be reinvested towards restoration, recovery, as well as expansion.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Now, from a retail sector perspective, how significant is this reform for day-to-day business operations?
Okay, just to give you an illustration, before these licenses were streamlined, for a supermarket to have been fully compliant, given that it had all the various segments that constitutes a supermarket, it required over 32 different licenses. And
that's a lot.
That's a
lot.
That's a lot. And the cumulative cost of those licenses were over an average of 15,000 per year. So that's a lot of money and administrative work towards being fully compliant with licenses and regulations. So now as we saw from the pronouncements, 11 different licenses have been collapsed into one single license. So this will come as a very important initiative towards improving the ease and cost of doing business in the retail and wholesale sector. So this is actually very key, and as a sector, we are quite happy with these initiatives.
All right. Now, just to touch on something, how do these multiple licenses or fragmented permits affect business efficiency, especially for the retailers?
Okay, like I highlighted in the previous point, it's a lot of administrative work that comes into being fully compliant with all these different licenses. Like I highlighted, over 32 different licenses.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of administrative
And each of
work.
them you have to be following the channels, the proper channels and
Yes,
everything.
from one office to the other. So we're quite happy that this process has been very consultative. We have engaged with various ministries, government ministries, to ensure that they hear the concerns that are stifling business operations as well as business growth. So hopefully this will aid greatly towards our recovery in the retail and wholesale space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'm interested, how do these reforms influence investor confidence within the retail and broader commercial sectors?
So I think the beautiful thing about this process is not only touching the retail and wholesale space, but the entire value chain. We've seen streamlinings of regulations in the tourism sector, as the retail, transport, etc. But ultimately, from our perspective, we believe that the ultimate measure of success at the end of the day has to be felt by the end consumer. We believe that as businesses, we have to reciprocate the efforts that are being made by government to ensure that savings that we are making ultimately reflect in cheaper goods and services for the consumer. So that is very key. And we continue encouraging businesses to actually reciprocate these efforts that are being made by government. Yeah.
All right. Now, I'm more curious, in what ways does consolidating these into one license simplify compliance for businesses? And we're not just looking at big businesses. Let's also focus on the SMEs.
Yes. I think you've brought a very important point. And when we are looking at SMEs, we would find that a lot of them are operating within the informal fold of the economy. And we saw that there was an introduction of a sliding scale licensing fee structure for SMEs that is capped at $500. I think this will enhance the ease of doing business and the ease of compliance as well.
Sorry, let me hold you there. This
Yeah.
500 is just for the SMEs, right?
Yes.
So they no longer have to fall under the 15,000 category.
Yes,
It's now
yes.
500 annually, or?
Yes, so it's capped at $500.
Oh,
So that is very important, and we believe that it will incentivize the formalization process. And I think we are heading in the right direction, because we think that the informal sector has a huge part to play in terms of contributing towards our economic development trajectory, as we are looking at Vision 2030 and the agenda of becoming a middle-income economy by then.
So you're saying these reforms will help streamline informal sector into the formal sector?
Yes, yes. I think it's very important that we incentivize their formalization process, and as well as simplify it so that they won't be overcomplicated processes for them to comply with. So we enhance the ease of compliance, and SMEs will ultimately come to the formal fold of doing business. The other issue has been the issue of taxation. You know, we have introduced a sliding scale licensing fee structure that is kept at $500. And we believe that if we introduce a similar structure, but on the tax side of things, I think it will be also a great incentive for them to comply with the taxation system. Let's simplify our taxation model, make it presumptive and simplified and tiered, for example, according to business size, number of employees, and even trading space, for small businesses to find it easy to comply with existing regulations. But we are glad that this process is a continuous process. It's not a once-off process that the government is undertaking. It's something that we are continuously engaging on, and they are aware, and we are working towards devising such a system.
All right. Just before we go to the break, so are you saying, Mr. CEO, that it's possible these 11 reforms are not the only ones? More are coming?
Yes. We are currently in engagements with the government towards that process. And for these pronouncements, just to add, to take full effect, they have to be supported by legislations. So they have to be supported by amendments to existing legislations for these pronouncements to actually take effect. So that's also what we are working with government, to make amendments to existing regulations so that these pronouncements can actually take effect in business operations.
All right. You heard it from Mr. Marimo. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back after this. Do not go nowhere. Welcome back to the last segment of World of Business. In the previous segment, we heard how the single license reforms is expected to simplify compliance and reduce cost for retailers. Now we want to explore how the retail sector can leverage this policy to drive growth, formalization and investment. I'm still joined by the Acting Chief Executive Officer of the Confederation of Zimbabwe Retailers, Mr. Innocent Marimo. Now, Mr. Marimo, how do you see these reforms benefiting small and medium-sized enterprises in the retail? I know you had talked about it, but let's go deeper into it.
Okay, like I highlighted, I think the small to medium enterprises have a huge role to play towards our economic development trajectory.
On that one, I actually think they are the backbone.
They are the backbone, actually.
Look at agriculture, mining,
Yes.
these sectors. It's the SMEs that are actually providing more.
Yes.
But go on, please.
Yes, if we can incentivize and simplify the compliance system, we believe that they have a huge role to play towards us achieving a middle-income economy by 2030. We are speaking employment, we're talking fiscal revenue, we're talking even contributions towards health, etc. So they are very fundamental, and we really have to be deliberate in terms of how we policy our initiatives towards harnessing their growth and working together towards one common goal.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, previously we were talking about the formalization of the informal traders. Now, could these changes help formalize more informal traders by making compliance easier?
I think it's a step. It's a huge step with this pronouncement. It's a huge step towards the right direction. I think a lot of SMEs are going to come into the formal fold of doing business. I think it's important that we track how these policies are actually having an effect on the ground. Let's go to the ground and actually engage these small players on how they think we can best facilitate and support their growth. Okay. I think consultation is very key, and it is fundamental. Since we have a listening government, we also have to get our ears to the ground and hear what small businesses are actually discussing and what they think will be best for their growth and contribute towards our economic development trajectory.
Moving on, with fewer regulations, regulatory hurdles, do you anticipate increased expansion or investment within the retail space?
I think at this stage, we are actually seeing a bit of expansion. We are looking at, we have witnessed a few investors that are coming into the retail and also space. Currently, as you might know, we're experiencing a bit of a boom in the real estate infrastructure, especially commercial real estate. And we are witnessing new players, international players, for that fact, coming in to invest within the retail and also space. We are speaking fast food franchises, new, that are coming in. So I think these reforms will actually facilitate more growth towards that direction of actually bringing in new investors towards the support of our sector.
Now, out of curiosity, what role can the retail sector play in supporting government's efforts to streamline regulations further?
Okay, so like I highlighted also, this process that is being done by government, it has been entirely consultative. we have sat on numerous meetings and engagements with government to ensure that adjustments are reflective of the needs and wants of the sector to support their growth.
Okay.
And I think we continue to engage, and more reforms are coming, like we highlighted earlier, and I think we are in a very exciting time towards the development of the retail and also space.
All right.
Yes.
Now, talking about reforms, what additional reforms or enablers could further strengthen the ease of doing business in retail? You can just list them, probably the top 3, top 4.
Okay, let's try to do top 3. I think the issue of tax.
That's a big one. You've mentioned it in the earlier on. You mentioned it.
I think in the previous point, I highlighted the idea of a simplified tax model for SMEs. I think this will go a long way in terms of incentivizing their growth. Because the idea shouldn't be to prematurely tax small businesses, but they have to see the value that comes with being formalized. So that's the direction that we have to take. So that's the tax on the side of small businesses.
Let me hold you there,
Yes.
sir. You're talking about the benefits or
Yes.
the value of being formalized.
Yes.
You've got a lot of informal SMEs who are watching right now.
Yes.
What are the benefits or the value of being formalized following this system, right, that you'll be in line with the reforms that are here?
Yes, so the benefits have to be structured. Obviously, we are speaking tax, we have to be compliant. And if you look at it, there are a lot of benefits that come with being fully compliant with laws. We are speaking access to credit, which is very fundamental for
lines
growth.
of credit. It's fundamental for a business.
Yes, it's fundamental for business growth and expansion as well. And we've been pushing on our end. I know we are in the government has taken a tight liquidity stance to support our local currency, the ZiG. But in our engagements, we've been encouraging government to strike a balance between, maintaining currency stability and making credit affordable. I think, as you know, our currency is still relatively new, so it has to be a phased approach. We are talking of the de-dollarization by 2030, but we believe that it has to be phased as well. So it has to come in a similar structure. It has to be phased. We can't just, cut the cost of credit by half in a day. It has to be structured and it has to be phased. So that's the direction that we are engaging government on, and we believe that ultimately we're going to get there, because it is fundamental also that we ensure that our currency remains stable for the foreseeable future. So that is very key. And on the next point that I want to highlight on additional reforms that we can make.
The 3, yeah.
The 3, I think it's also on tax. It's also on tax.
Mr. Marimo is very big on tax.
It's also on tax. So I think the biggest hurdle both business and consumers have been crying about is the issue of IMTT, which is at 2%. I think the high IMTT is pushing our economy towards cash, both on the consumer side as well as on the business side. Many businesses, especially small businesses, circumventing official
True. That's actually true.
financial services and banking institutions, because the cost of banking is too high.
Yes.
Speaking both on the IMTT side and on the bank charges side. So now we are seeing the proliferation of shadow banks, safety deposit boxes.
And mattress banks.
Yes, and mattress banks as well. So our financial institutions, if we look at it and be honest, they are also going informal, which is not something that we'd like to see.
Oh, you mean like the loan sharks and all of that?
Yes.
Charging ridiculous returns and interests on the money that they loan you.
Yes. So it's also taking an informal side, and we believe that this is something that can be fixed if we ensure that we reform our tax systems, especially IMTT. Possibly if we say on IMTT we are reducing it to 1% on USD and completely removing it on ZiG. Since it's in essence a digital currency, I think it will incentivize the use of our local currency as well as acceptance as well. So
That
I
is
think,
profound.
yes, so I think it will be a key reform, and we continue engaging. You know, lobbying is a continuous process, and we are fortunate enough that we have a listening government, and we are very optimistic towards the direction that we are actually taking as an economy.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, what message would you give to retailers about positioning themselves to benefit from these policy changes? Because I'm sure a lot of them they watch our show.
Yes, yes. I think first of all, let's engage. You know, this is a very important time. If we believe that there are issues that may be outstanding, let's come together and engage on these issues and take them up to government to ensure that no one and no place is left behind in terms of these reforms. So it is actually very key. And also, secondly, I would like to highlight that it's something that I've highlighted before. You know, the ultimate measure of success should be felt by the consumer. So let's practice.
Emphasize on that one. The ultimate measure of success
Yes,
should be felt by the consumer.
it has to be felt by the consumer. At the end of the day, all these reforms have to be reflected on the prices of goods and services that we are offering to the people. So it is actually fundamental that we mesh government energy towards reforms and ensure that the savings that we will make from these streamlinings of regulations and licenses, at the end of the day, consumers can actually attest to the benefits of these reforms.
You heard the benefits of these reforms from Mr. Marimo. Now that brings us to the end of our discussion. The government's decision to streamline licensing is a notable step to making it easier to do business, and the retail sector stands to benefit from a simple, more predictable operating environment. Now, until next time, my name is Tafaranda Guta, and from myself and the crew behind the scenes, it's back to business.